It happened on a Tuesday. I was in my home office, finishing up some work, when a notification appeared on our shared tablet. The device usually just sat untouched on the charger, but for some reason, I glanced at it. It was a text synced from my fiancée Claire's phone. The sender, her mother. Any luck getting him to talk about the loans? Before I could even process it, a reply from Claire appeared right there on the screen. Not yet. He's avoiding it. But don't worry, I'll get him to agree before the wedding. Once he pays them off, I'm gone. I froze. My eyes locked on those words, refusing to believe them. I run an architecture firm. My entire life revolves around precision, about how things fit together. And yet, that one sentence shattered the entire structure of my life like a wrecking ball. Gone. Once he pays them off, this wasn't a joke. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a plan. Cold, calculated, brutal. At first, rage surged through me. I wanted to hurl the tablet against the wall. I wanted to storm into the living room where she was laughing at some TV show and tear her world apart. But then, something else took hold, an icy calm. Screaming was what you did when you wanted to save something. But this was already dead. All that was left was demolition. I snapped a photo of the screen with my phone and emailed it to myself. Then I kept scrolling through the thread. She had been careless, confident her quiet, predictable fiancé would never suspect a thing. And it was all their months of scheming, her mother's coaching. Don't be aggressive. Make it about your future together. Say you can't feel settled until you're both debt-free as a team. Cry a little if you have to. He'll feel guilty, Claire's replies. He's so distracted with wedding planning. It's perfect. I almost feel bad sometimes. He's such a good guy. And her mother's chilling answer. Don't feel bad. Feel smart. This is for your future. Not his, but the one that cut deepest was Claire's question. What do I do after? Won't it look suspicious if I leave right away? Her mother's response. Stay a year. Pretend to be unhappy. Say you've grown apart. By then, the money is gone. The loans are paid. You walk away free and clear. A perfect plan. A perfect con. For 2 years, I thought we were building a life together. She thought she was orchestrating a heist. I closed the app, stood up, and walked into the kitchen. My hands didn't shake as I poured a glass of water. She was still on the couch. Hey, babe, she said casually, not looking away from the TV. You okay? You're quiet, just thinking about a project, I replied. My voice was steady, too steady. She thought she was playing chess, believing I didn't even know there was a board. She had no idea I had just seen the entire game and I was about to flip the table. The 2 weeks that followed were the strangest of my life. I didn't confront her, not yet. Confrontation would lead to denial, fake tears, hollow promises. That was messy. I don't do messy. I do clean, precise. Final.so I documented everything, every text, every thread. Then I examined our finances. She lived in my house. I paid the mortgage, the utilities, her car payments, her insurance, her gas. Every vacation, every dinner we lived on my income. Her small paycheck from the art gallery was pocket change. I had been supporting a parasite who planned to drain me dry, then discard me. My lawyer, Frank, a sharp, no-nonsense man, confirmed it. She had no legal claim to my assets. My only vulnerability was if I willingly gave her the money. The entire scheme depended on me paying off those loans. So you're going to agree, he said, and that was the key. I had to let her think she was winning, walk her right up to the finish line, let her taste victory, then pull the rug out so hard she wouldn't know what hit her. So I began to play the role. A few days later, while making dinner, I sighed and said, you know, I've been thinking about what you said about your loans, about us starting fresh as a team. Her eyes widened with practiced hope. You have? Yeah, I said softly. And I don't want that hanging over us. As my wedding gift to you, I'm going to pay them off. Her reaction was Oscar-worthy. She burst into tears, threw her arms around me, sobbed about how I was the most generous man alive. Then, of course, She called her mother. I could hear the triumphant squeals through the phone. The fish had taken the bait. There's just one thing, I added once she hung up. I don't want to just wire the money. This is too important. I want a proper celebration with both our families. I'll have the bank prepare a cashier's check, and I'll present it to you that night. She was ecstatic. A public ceremony for her victory. She thought it was romantic. But really, I was just setting the stage. The dinner was last night. A private room in the best restaurant in town. Claire and her parents sat on one side, mine on the other. She was glowing, radiant. Her mother looked smug, her father good man, but clueless just looked proud. My parents chatted happily about the wedding, while Claire and her mom exchanged sly little smiles. After the main course, I rose, holding an envelope. I've asked you all here for a special reason. Claire and I are about to begin our life together, and I want to start it on the right foot. Claire, your student loans have been such a heavy burden. Because I love you, I want to lift that weight. As my wedding gift, I am paying off your entire debt. My parents smiled warmly. Claire's dad clapped me on the shoulder. Claire and her mom vibrated with joy. I opened the envelope, but there was no check. Instead, I laid down a blown-up screenshot of her text. Don't worry. Once he pays off my student loans, I'll leave. The silence was deafening. Claire's face drained of color. Her mother looked as though she'd been struck. My parents stared in stunned disgust. Her father, reading the words, turned ashen. This was never a wedding, I said evenly. It was a con, a well-planned con. Your mother should be proud. I then pulled out a second set of papers, copies of the entire text chain. I handed one set to my parents, another to her father. These should answer any questions, Claire sobbed. Mark, no, it's not what it looks like. I can explain. There's nothing to explain. I cut her off. You explained it perfectly in your texts. The wedding is off. We are over. I turned to her father. I'm sorry you had to learn this way. You raised a daughter, but your wife raised a con artist. Then I stood. Mom, Dad, let's go. We walked out, leaving them in ruins. By the time I reached my car, the fallout had begun. Frantic voicemails, screaming texts. Her final message, "You've ruined my life." My reply was simple. No, I just stopped paying for it. When I got home, her belongings were already gone. I had movers pack them up and deliver them to her parents' house during dinner. The locks were changed, the codes erased. My phone became a battlefield of calls and messages until I blocked them all. But this morning, one last voicemail slipped through from a blocked number, her voice broken, desperate. Mark, please. You can't do this. It was a mistake, a horrible mistake. My mom pushed me. Please, I'm going to your parents' house. They love me. They'll make you listen. She thinks this is a negotiation. She thinks her fake tears and manipulations will work on my parents. What she doesn't realize is that she's about to face my father, the man who taught me how to spot fatal flaws from a mile away. She has no idea what happens when you try to con a family of architects. Hey everyone, it's Mark, the guy whose fiancé tried to run a $150,000 student loan scheme. The response to my first post was unbelievable. I read hundreds of your comments, and it reassured me that I wasn't crazy for handling things the way I did. A lot of you wanted an update, especially about what happened when Claire tried to confront my parents. Well, she did, and the result was more spectacular than I ever imagined. After the dinner where I exposed everything, I cut off all contact. I blocked Claire and her mother on every platform. The silence was blissful. My parents, however, weren't given the same peace. My mom told me Claire had left a dozen tearful voicemails, spinning some story about a misunderstanding, claiming her mother pressured her into a stupid joke. My mom wasn't buying it. I had already warned them about Claire's final threat in her voicemail that she was going to show up at their house. My dad's only response had been calm and simple. Let her come. It happened on Saturday. I was at home trying to enjoy a quiet weekend when my dad called. His voice was steady, but I heard the steel in it. "Mark," he said, "the demolition crew has arrived." He put me on speaker, setting the phone on the table near the front door. I was about to get a front row seat. The doorbell rang. My mom opened it, her tone polite but cold. "Claire, we weren't expecting you." Claire's voice came through the line, thick with fake tears. "I'm so sorry to bother you. I had to explain. Mark won't talk to me. He's throwing everything away over a misunderstanding." My father's voice cut in, deep and steady. "It's not a misunderstanding when it's written in black and white. My son showed us your texts, every one of them." Claire broke down harder. "That wasn't me, it was my mother. She's obsessed with my loans. She put those ideas in my head. I love Mark, I'd never hurt him. You know me. You know I love him." My father let the silence stretch before responding. "I am an architect, Claire. My son is an architect. We build things, buildings, relationships, families. And the first rule of building something that lasts is that it must have a solid foundation. You don't build on sand. You don't build on lies. And you certainly don't build on a blueprint. A fraud." "It wasn't fraud," she wailed. "It was a mistake." "Was it a mistake?" my father pressed. "When you texted your mother that you'd stay for a year to make it look good before leaving? Was it a mistake when you wrote that once you were debt-free, you would finally have options and wouldn't be trapped?" "That doesn't sound like a mistake, Claire. That sounds like a meticulously designed plan." "Technically impressive, perhaps, but morally repulsive." He wasn't raising his voice. He was dissecting her with surgical precision. "You didn't come here to explain," he continued. "You came here to execute the next phase of your plan. You failed to manipulate my son. Now you're trying to manipulate his parents. But this family is not a house of cards." Before Claire could respond, I heard another car pull up. Another knock at the door. My mom sighed, opening it again. It was Claire's parents. Her father, John, looked flustered. Her mother, Susan, wore a mask of feigned concern. "We're so sorry to intrude like this," John began. "Our daughter is a wreck. This has all been a terrible misunderstanding. I think Mark may have overreacted." My father cut him off. "Overreacted? John, I saw the texts. Your wife coached your daughter step by step on how to commit financial fraud against my son. Did you know?" John puffed up indignantly. "Of course not. I'm shocked. Susan was just trying to help Claire with her financial stress." "Misguided." "Yes, but her heart was in the right place." For a moment, I almost believed him. At the restaurant, I had thought he was clueless, a victim of his wife and daughter. But my father has been designing contracts for 40 years. He can spot lies like cracks in concrete. "So you're telling me," my dad said slowly, "that your wife and daughter planned this for over 6 months, and you, living in the same house, sharing finances, never once knew? Not a single word? You expect me to believe that?" "I'm a busy man," John snapped. "I don't get involved in their day-to-day drama." "I see," my dad replied calmly. "That's interesting, because this morning I spoke to my son's lawyer. We discussed the legal definition of conspiracy to commit fraud. Did you know investigators can review all family financial records, phone logs, and bank statements to determine who knew what? It's incredible what a forensic accountant can uncover." The threat wasn't loud, but it was crystal clear. John went pale. Susan gasped. "This is an overreach," John stammered. "There's no need to involve lawyers, isn't there?" My father countered. "Your daughter tried to steal an amount equivalent to a down payment on a house. That's not a misunderstanding, that's grand larceny in a designer dress. And you? Either you knew, which makes you complicit, or you didn't, which makes you willfully negligent. Either way, you hold no moral ground here." He turned back to Claire. "You came here seeking allies. You will find none. You targeted my son because you thought his kindness was weakness. You saw his stability as opportunity. You are a predator, and you are no longer welcome in this family or this house. The engagement is over. The relationship is over. If you attempt to contact us again, we'll pursue a restraining order. Is that clear?" Claire stood frozen, her fake tears gone, replaced with stunned disbelief. She had walked in expecting to negotiate. Instead, she had been demolished. "Now," my father said finally, his voice low and dismissive. "Leave. You and your family have much to discuss." The door closed. My father picked up the phone. "Are you still there, Mark?" "I'm here," I said, my voice shaky. "It's done," he replied. "The site is clear." The aftermath was even more satisfying. John, terrified my father would push for legal action and expose his own shady finances, imploded. He and Susan erupted into a screaming fight right in my parents' driveway. He blamed her for the plan's failure. She blamed him for not playing his part well enough. Claire was left standing in the wreckage. No fianc, no financial support, no allies. Her parents' marriage crumbling around her. And worst of all, 150,000 in student loan debt, hers alone. She gambled everything on her perfect plan. She lost it all. The demolition was complete.